Well, in continuing with our lessons about names and titles, we're going to look at the family members. And so our lesson today on this segment, will be family. We're going to look at parents, grandparents, and other family members. How can you address them in English? Well, one, it will greatly depend on the family itself, on how they address each other, because sometimes it might be formal, sometimes it might be more informal. So ways to address father could be dad, daddy, pop, papa, father, pa. And there's other ways that even within families, you just need to find out from each family how they address the father, because the father might have his way of wanting to be addressed by the children. Now the mother might have her way that she wants to be addressed by the children. She might be mom, mommy, mum, mama, mother, ma. Depends on how she wants to be addressed by the family members. In continuing with our idea of who wants to be addressed how, well, we can look at some other family members. Looking at grandmother, she might want to be called grandmother or grandma, or there's even people that don't say the D, they say grandma. They just totally leave the D out. And there's grandfather, grandpa, or they leave the D out and say grandpa. And there's some families, I know mine in growing up with different grandparents, I had to call my grandparents by grandma and then use the last name. So I knew which grandparent I was talking about. It was Grandma Hall or Grandpa Green or Grandma Lansydale, because I had my great grandparents and both of my paternal and maternal grandparents that I knew and I grew up with. So it was how I had to address them. But yet when I would go up to them and talk to them one-on-one, it'd be grandma, grandpa. But in talking about them, I had to address the title and their last name. And we have aunt, auntie, uncle, depending on how you talk to them. And within my family, we had to use aunt and uncle in addressing about the person with their first name. Aunt Janet, Uncle Jim. But yet in talking one-on-one, face-to-face, I would still say, Aunt Janet, can I borrow a towel? Because I went swimming at her house and I needed a towel. I would still call my cousins, I would call them cousin, but yet I can also just call them by their name because we were all the same age. So I'd say Lisa, David, Sharon. I would say those names because they were my cousins and I dressed them like my brothers and sisters because we were close. In talking about brothers and siblings, sometimes we can say bro, sometimes, but brother is usually common, sister. But if there was a little sister in the family, she would probably be called sissy. But yet, never, 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 never call a little boy sissy, because that means you're saying that he's acting like a baby and he's acting effeminate and he might not like that at all. Don't call a little boy sissy. You're looking for a fight. So there's ways to address family members. Now, when it comes to in-laws, when you get married with somebody, you need to find out specifically from your in-laws how they want to be addressed. There are some in-laws, they want to be called mom. And there's some that said, you don't call mom because you already have a mom. They would want to be called Mrs. and then the last name, or they might want to be just called by their first name. You don't call them mom, you already have one. You might just call the person by their first name, like Mary, or you might say Mrs. and then the last name. Find out exactly from the family how each person wants to be addressed and everyone will be happy.